Welcome to the KMC Collective podcast, where the KMC team brings you practical insights, creative ideas, and authentic conversations for children's ministry leaders. Each conversation is packed with strategies to help you lead with clarity, build strong teams, nurture families, and stay healthy in the process. Whether you're planning lessons, training volunteers, or seeking encouragement for the week ahead, this podcast is for you. We hope to make you laugh, cry, think, and maybe a bit of all three in each of our weekly conversations. This is the KMC Collective Podcast. Let's jump into the conversation.
So you didn't pick the kids that drove you crazy on your worst Sunday. And you didn't pick the volunteer who was the no-show those 3 weeks in a row. You know that one? And you didn't pick the parent who questioned every little decision you've made, but you stayed. And you stayed put. And you stayed focused. And you kept showing back up. And I know maybe you've not asked this, but I know I have. Have you asked yourself this question of why? I have. Why is this happening? Why are they asking? Why did they not show up? Well, sometimes I also say, why am I still doing this? Well, maybe I should be doing something else. Maybe my season's done. Well, today we're going to be talking about the calling and why understanding what our calling is and isn't might be the most important thing you can do for your ministry, for you, and your family. So let's dive into this week's KMC podcast. I'm Tom.
I'm Cole.
And I'm Vicki. And I'm so excited for this conversation today.
It's going to be good.
Me too. And Ben is missing out again.
He's missing out. He's got a migraine. It's okay. We have all been there.
Yeah.
Rest up, Ben. Rest up, buddy.
That's right. Get rid of your headache. Take 2 aspirin and call us in the morning. No, don't call us.
No. I
was like, take
it
more
isn't
than-
because of his calling.
As a migraine person, take more than aspirin because it ain't going to do anything.
I was going to say, take some Mountain Dew. I have a friend who has a prescription. He has a prescription from a doctor for Mountain Dew because he has migraines.
All right.
I would have never touched my migraines, ever.
Yeah, I'm just a headache to so many other people. I give them the migraine. I'm probably the migraine maker.
Oh, team calling.
Yes. Let's get on task here because I was going to make
Let's jump in. Sorry.
I was going to tell him to take 2 gooey chocolate eggs and call us later.
Come on.
3.
Come on.
3. You got to be 3.
3? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. See, something else is calling us, and that's this conversation because a lot of people ask why. And I've seen a lot of leaders struggling with it. We're actually doing a new leaders foundations group, which has been so good. And one of the first things we talked about was identity and calling, because I think this is where if leaders don't spend time drilling down on your calling and your identity, it's going to get twisted into your vocation. And so I'm going to set the tone for the conversation as this. So, because I want our listeners to realize we're probably going to end up with 2 conversations here, 2 episodes. So stay tuned on this. Buckle up your seatbelt. Get some nitro in your coffee, because we're going to dig into this because I think it's important. I really do. But I got a weird question to kick us off with. This is Ben coming out in me. He's rubbed off.
No.
So
No.
what's the weirdest or most unexpected moment that you can think about that made you realize you were made for kids ministry?
I have one.
Oh, all right.
So this is weird-ish. I knew I was made for kids ministry when we were packing parent kits and I was wanting everyone to put confetti. Now, not just any confetti. It was like the big chunky confetti that's easier
Good. As
to
long as
clean up.
I was going to say, as long as it's not glitter, you're good.
When we got done, I took a bunch, I threw it up in the air, and then I proceeded to lay down in it and make a confetti angel. And I knew I am made for children's ministry. If
awesome.
I would have been working in a law office or somewhere else right now, probably would have gotten a lot more stares than what I did
I was
in the
just going to
moment.
say, if you took shreddings of law documents and went and laid down and did an angel in them, I think you'd
Yeah.
you'd get sent to the psych ward or something.
Maybe.
They would
Or
be
yes.
like,
Yeah.
this lady's
That is
bonkers.
just
We're out
one
here.
incident where I was like, yep, made for this.
She has an
Yeah.
angelic calling, Cole. She has an angelic calling.
Okay. So I know Vicki knows this story, and I'm pretty sure Tom knows this story, but this for me was the I don't know if the wake up call is not the right wing because I was already in kids ministry, but this was the like solid, like everything solidified. At my first church, at our first overnight camp, we had like 200 kids go to this overnight camp, and it was like a week before camp. And so let me just preface with, I have zero dancing skills, none whatsoever. At my wedding, we danced the only dances I was supposed to and had to, and then I was done.
We didn't do any of
And-
mine.
It was a week out from our camp, and my worship leader got called by work and said, "Hey, I can't come." And she's like the ultimate worship leader, like knows all the moves, knows all the things, knows everything. And so I took her 5 songs that she chose and stayed after work and learned them and recorded myself doing them and fixed all my little issues. And then we went to camp and and
And
led worship
Keep
with all my heart and all my abilities. Now I can tell you, I'm so glad this was before smartphones. Well, technically it wasn't, but it was before everyone recorded smartphone stuff. Because I
You would've
put
gone
everything
viral.
I could into this, and it was exhausting and amazing and great all at the same time. But I can't tell you it was good.
So was it like that meme from Seinfeld with Elaine and the ugly dancing?
Oh yeah, 100%. Now I couldn't see myself doing the moves on stage.
That's the
in front
picture I had
kids.
of you, Cole. I'm just
And-
seeing you.
There, I know there's kids directors out there that may have listened to this podcast that can confirm my ridiculousness on stage.
Oh,
But I put
That's
everything
awesome.
that I knew
did.
was in me into it. And
That's right.
when I got off, I was like, yeah, we just worship for God. And I put, even though I'm not good at it, we
know.
did everything
Hey,
I could do. you know.
Nobody said when David danced before the Lord, it was good.
It was good. Yeah, it's a good
Right.
point.
He just danced.
you just
And his
danced.
wife got pretty ticked off about it. So was it a good? It may not have been that good because she was embarrassed by him.
That's a good point.
I mean, it could have been the loincloth only thing.
I was
but-
going to say, I we need to live on.
I'm not doing that.
yes.
We're not going there.
Yeah, we're not. We're not. So, do y'all think that ministry leaders today could, if we asked 10, 20, 30 ministry leaders, and maybe we'll put this in the Facebook group and ask
Yeah.
the Facebook community in this conversation, but how many could really clearly define the difference between their calling, their
Mhm.
identity, and their job? Because I think a lot of people, this gets blurred. It gets twisted. I've done workshops on this. In fact, there's a lesson in the Kidmin Plus community all about this. And it's one of the things we're talking about in the foundations group of how do we keep that separate. But the interesting part is I've been very curious. How many leaders really understand that, and why do you think they can could they define those things, and why is that important for us to get it defined? What do you think?
So I'm going to jump in here. So someone that has done extensive counseling about all 3 of these things,
Mm-hmm.
I recommend one before we get into this. If you're a leader and you can't like solidly identify all 3 of them, you need to talk to someone because
Absolutely.
they are not one in the same. They're
Yes.
all different. And
Absolutely.
I can tell you that when I got into kids ministry, it was a blurred line everywhere, and I let it run my life.
Mhm.
Um, and I can tell you, in the first 5 years of ministry, I couldn't tell you one from the other. I couldn't. Calling, identity, and vocation all was the same.
It was blurred.
Was the same, and it was all the same.
Sure.
And it destroyed me in every way it could
Yeah.
destroy you. Yeah.
Why do you think it hit you so hard?
Well, I can tell you the exact reason was I was blindsided in a position, and it didn't end well. And when that ending happened, it felt like everything I ever was no longer. Like Cole, the friend of, all his friends, Cole, the kids director, Cole, the, Michigan fan, all that person, because everything was so intertwined together, unhealthily, that I just fell apart. I just came unraveled. I was like, what is my meaning? What is my reason? Like, I remember sitting in my apartment going, what am I going to do next? Because everything I was that.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
so
it was
that's a
hard.
good word, Cole. I think you are speaking to a lot of people, a lot of people. It's almost in my head, I'm like, this is a pausable moment where it's like people may have to just pause,
Yep.
think about this. And I am reminded when I first got into children's ministry, especially for those of us who mine was not a natural progression. It was one of those things where I think God was in it. And I was like, are you sure? Is this?
Yeah.
And no one sits you down. I
No.
think this is why, Tom, I'm so glad you're addressing this in the foundations class. No one sits you down and explains it to you. And Cole, like you, everything was wrapped up into
Yeah.
one. I
Oh, yeah.
didn't clearly articulate because no one told me. It was like, well, you work for a church, you work for the church, and it's okay to put in long nights because you're doing it for God, and all of
Yes.
those misconceptions.
Man.
All of those misconceptions. And yeah, like it took me probably a good 6 years into ministry for
Yeah.
somebody to really use those words. And I would say even at my first ministry job, it never really solidified. I think it was when we moved back to Michigan, it really was clear.
Yeah.
What is my call? And
Mhm.
then what is my identity? Who is my identity in? Right?
There you go.
To really understand. And so if you're listening to this and you truly understand it, I am so thankful.
Mhm.
And I think we might have a lot of listeners who might be confused or not sure
Yep.
about it. And the rest of this time is for
Yep.
them
Yeah.
because
Yep.
we've learned it the hard
Yeah.
way.
The hard way.
And
Exactly. Exactly.
it can be confusing. So let's unpack it.
Yes. Yes. I think, one of the best exercises I ever did, and it came out of a very painful time in my life. Because like you, Cole, I got blindsided.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't
Mhm.
see it coming. Had great reviews and conversations with senior leadership.
Yep.
And then they just eliminated the position completely. And they kept telling me, oh, it's nothing about you. It's just that it's a financial decision that we have to
Yeah.
take right now.
Mm.
It sure feels like it's me. Because you're not letting other staff members go
Mm-hmm.
in other positions, in other roles. And all of a sudden I started going, what am I doing here? And why am I doing this? And how am I going to go forward? And what can I do? I mean, I was even like, what's my marketable skills outside of the church world? Because I've been in it for a few years now.
Oh.
What am I going to do to take care of my family? I got young kids. And I started questioning, God, what'd you call me to? Is this really what you called me to?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I felt like for me, when I was called into ministry, it was very clear that I was to preach the gospel to anybody. And I made the commitment before the Lord. Lord, I don't care who you put me in front of, adults, kids, teenagers, whoever you put me in front of, I will
Yep.
speak your words. I don't care. God has given me a gift that if I'm standing in front of a room of adults, I can preach to adults like a senior pastor or whatever would do. If I'm in front of a group of students, high school students, middle school students, I speak right to them. And if I'm in front of the kids, which granted, I'll love that probably the most of all. I think that's where my calling is the strongest, where my heart is, that I knew that God had called me to preach, to speak. My identity, though, if somebody says, "Who are you?" And this is where I wasn't clear, because if somebody said, "Who's Tom Bump?" I would have went, "Well, I'm a kids pastor of this church, and we've got X many kids." And
I answered that question so many times in that way for so
and
long.
where did I go? Where did I go first? I went right to my vocation. I identified my identity by what I do, by the job. And for me, the way I define it, why I unpack it, and I'd love to hear your guys' definitions, but I really feel like calling is what God has, is leading you towards. Identity is who God says you are. And then the vocation is the outpouring of what God has put on your heart, and who he's made you to be. Is now you're taking those two things and you're utilizing the gifting to do what you do. So vocation is totally separate. Calling and identity are a little closer together. They work together, because I think when God calls you to preach, then there's that gifting that follows. But the identity is God says, "I am his son. I am created in his image. I am saved. I am set apart. I am equipped. I am gifted, fearfully and wonderfully made." That's my identity. And then to add to that, my identity is I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a brother, I'm an uncle. I mean, that's my identity. Those are things God has said, I am these things. He's made me those things. But my vocation, I'm a kids pastor, or I'm a ministry coach. I'm a speaker. I'm an author. Those
are things I get to do because God has equipped me to do them.
You go.
Yeah. And I just know when I had all those confused, I was very, very vulnerable to excessive hurts. And I think some of the people I've worked with in the restoring leader side of our ministry, the soul care side of KMC, that's where when somebody blindsides you, when as I say it, when the sheep bite or the shepherd throws a stone and you get hit, if your calling and your identity are starting to twist, and that vocation starts to twist, those bites and those hits will shatter you. They will wreck you. And this is why I think so many leaders are quitting. Youth pastors, kids pastors, I think this is why they're quitting, is because nobody's really helped them drill down on what's your calling.
Right.
And then who does God say you really are? Now, what are the gifts, and what do you get to do with that? And I just think that I was such a mess when I got those first couple hits, because I had never really drilled down on who does God say I am. And I was so, like I said, when I would introduce myself, I went straight to vocation and gifting and those kind of things, rather than my calling and my identity first. And then my vocation. So I just think, it's one of those things that, I think I have a feeling a lot of people listening tonight in this episode, wherever you're listening to and whenever you're listening to, this is one of those things where if you haven't sat with the Lord and really drilled down and put it down on paper, and I encourage you, either pause the podcast, or as soon as this is done, you sit down with a journal or something and say, what is my calling? what am I called to do in this world for the kingdom? And then who does God say I am?
Mhm.
And go to scripture and find those scriptural bedrocks and write them down. I have a list on my phone. So when the season gets hard and I'm questioning,
Yep.
I go to those scriptures, and it really does pull things back into focus for myself. And then I look at my gifting and go, okay, now how do I live all this out? Well, I'm doing something that different than I've ever done right now on a vocation side, to a couple different things. And yet my calling has never been more in front of me, where I'm serving people, I'm ministering to people, I'm working with people going through some of the hard stuff in life. And I get to be more of a minister of the gospel than I've been in years. And it's amazing to me. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
go
what
ahead.
is our calling? What does calling actually look like? Because I think, right, I think once we have our listeners who they sit down and, right, they maybe spend some time thinking about calling, identity, and vocation. What does calling actually look like if somebody's like, I might still be confused?
Right, right. Did kids ministry choose me, or did I choose it?
Right. Or did
Well,
I choose ministry and they threw me into kids ministry? Or what if I feel like I should be in student ministry? Or how dare them put me over the nursery when
yeah.
I'm better qualified?
Cole, I saw that smirk, and I know,
Well,
because your
my
story fits perfectly with this part.
yeah, I feel like because of my story, because of everything I've gone through, and being in ministry now 20 years, I think the calling God put on my heart at the beginning was just so simple. Like, it was this simple thing. Like, I remember my friend Adam came up to me. Actually, it wasn't Adam. It was another friend of mine came up to me in a gym and said, "Hey, I think you should serve in kids ministry because you're here for 3 services and we need help." And then Adam says to me, "I just need someone by the door so that these kids don't run out and we get in trouble." My parents said. So that was where I started. And, like, simply over time, I felt like the calling just was, I just need you to serve my people. Because, like, I myself, when I first started kids ministry, like, I had known Jesus for like maybe 6 months. Like, I had not a strong walk. I wasn't, and by the way, let
Mhm.
me preface, I was not in charge of kids at this point. I would just make sure they weren't running out of the room. That's, they wouldn't let me do that, and which is good, because I even said that. I'm like, I don't even know
Yep.
Jesus that well. But what I felt was God just pulled my heart and was like, "Hey, I just need you to serve my people." And then
Right.
later, as the ministry piece took into it, the calling shifted. Like, I think every person that is a believer in the body of believers has a calling. Like, I know we're talking about kids ministry right now, but I think
Yeah.
every single person in the body of believers has a calling by God on their lives in some way to expand the kingdom.
Mhm.
And I think as you give God your yes, your calling becomes bigger,
Ooh,
in the sense of
that's
not bigger
so
like
good.
not bigger in the sense of like you like it's more responsibility on your shoulders and more weight to
Yeah.
like, oh, now I'm in charge of this and that and the other thing. Bigger in the sense of you've given God your yes. You've said, yes, God, I'm going to step into the thing you put in front of me because that's what you've called me to do.
Yeah.
And because I've given you my yes so many times, he knows he can trust you with new. He knows you can trust you with expanding the kingdom. He knows he can trust you with it. So, like, for me, calling, it was one thing at the beginning of just serve my people, but, like, man, it is so much. I mean, I guess if I really think about it, I'm just doing that too now, just because of my yes. My
Yeah.
experiences have shifted, and I look at that calling in a deeper way because there's more context to the serving of his people. If that makes sense. I don't
It
know if I
does.
even answered the question.
Yeah. No, I think I think you did. I mean, because it's one of those things where when I knew I was called to ministry, like I said, it was, and I think honestly, I think people overthink this, and they probably over spiritualize it a lot.
Mhm.
I don't know about you all, but because I've had people look at me really funny when I say, because I've had them ask, what's your calling? And I said, my calling is to preach the gospel to anybody God puts in front of me.
Mhm.
That's my calling.
To advance the
Advance the
kingdom
kingdom.
wherever
Exactly.
he places me for however long he
Yeah.
places
Yes.
me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my passion, where my heart is the most fulfilled,
Mm-hmm.
and where I think my focus of that calling is best lived out is in children's ministry. But can I fulfill my calling in other ways? Absolutely. Because again, there's vocation.
Mhm.
Um,
And
but
gifting within your
and
yeah.
exactly. Exactly. I think out of all the groups, my gifting is the strongest, most obvious when I'm with kids, because I love doing all the object lessons. I don't mind the crazy costumes at times. I know when it's good to be childlike
Mm-hmm.
and not how do I want to say it?
Childish.
There we go. Thank you.
There you go.
I was trying to think of something else, but I'm like, yeah, that works. There's too many kids pastors out there being childish.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Mm.
I think that's why you don't get the respect from the senior leadership. There's a whole nother podcast. So
Yeah.
we'll leave that. But I think my gifting confirms that calling. My calling confirms my gifting, where people can see, wow, you really are good with kids. But I had the first time I got to preach in this one church as the children's pastor. My pastor actually gave me 4 Sundays to speak on family ministry. It was
In a row.
in a row, and it wasn't holiday. It wasn't when everybody was gone. It was
Yeah.
actually
Middle of the
during the
summer.
school year. It was just
Wow.
before summer, just before
Wow.
summer. So in the month of May, I got 4 Sundays to talk and cast a vision for children's and family ministry. And it was insanely great. But the first Sunday, this guy walked up to me. I was standing in the back after service, and he went, wow, senior pastor better watch over his shoulder. You're going to give him a run for his money. You can preach. And I'm like, I hope that was a compliment.
Right. Yeah. I believe the kids. Yeah, we do that every week back
Yeah,
there
we
with them.
do that down
and
there.
that-
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was I said, if you thought that was good, come down next week and watch, or in 4 weeks
Yeah.
and watch me. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I did, Vicki. I was like, you come down and see me in
Come on
my
down,
real element.
Come on down.
Because I pulled out some object lessons, because I told people,
Mhm.
look, my heart is with the children. I'm more, I told them, I said, I am truly more comfortable down in that other end of the building. And so if y'all want to see what I really do, come on down here. But I'm going to give you a little taste of these next 4 Sundays. I am going to use some object lessons. I'm going to
Yeah.
use some fun stories. You're going to get it. But yeah, I just think it's one of those things where my encouragement for people is don't over spiritualize it. Don't overthink it. It doesn't have to be super profound. And people are looking for this lightning bulb, Emmaus Road, experience. Don't make me do that again. That hurt.
Yeah.
You need some water for that.
Yeah. Like you can't dance. I don't sing anymore. I used to as a kid, but I don't do that anymore. But yeah.
What are you saying, Vicki?
I lost it when Tom started singing like the angelic choir.
They're so traumatic. I scared it right out of her. She
Go
lost
on.
her. She lost her calling.
She lost her call.
No, I like what you said. I like what you said about let's not make it more complicated. I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you all, and this is such a good word because I made it so complicated in the beginning. And I think even what I did is I like put it in a box.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else put their calling in a box?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, that's not what it is. It
Yeah.
was almost like, well, no, that's what, like right now, what your
Yes.
calling is having you do.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I had to, change what I kind of thought the calling was, right? But I think that goes back to kind of being ill-equipped to the language. And of what I thought it was.
So how, if somebody is going, well, how do I know that I am really called?
Mm.
Because I didn't get the bright shining moment. No angels sang,
Tom, you didn't
screeching,
say?
I was gonna
screeching
say
blade.
we can sign Tom up to
No.
come sing to
Yeah, it
you,
comes
and
into you.
you would like it.
Give you that moment.
You know, there's people who do that, like they like
Oh
church
yeah,
people
you
to
could
do
order
a
it online. Yeah,
singing
Yeah.
gram. We can do that for you.
let's do it.
I've
This
seen
is
those
what happens
videos of that
when
lady that
done.
dresses
It's-
up. Yes, yeah. So if you want to know that, the new thing is KMC calling. We you can hire one of
Yeah.
us to come to you, and we will dress up
No.
as a singing
not singing.
whatever.
Singing and
I will
dancing go
throw
hand in hand.
confetti. It'll be
You
grand.
know who would do this? He's
Ben.
not here.
It's Ben.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He would, because I've seen him in the joy. He has the character called the Joy Germ. He's germy,
Mm, yeah.
but he's full of joy. And I've seen him out on public streets dressed as the Joy Germ. He's been on this podcast. Joy Germ has been on this podcast, and so yes, you can hire the Joy Germ to come and bring joy and calling and clarity into your world if you're struggling.
Yeah.
No.
But I think if you're
yeah.
in children's ministry or student ministry, like as Christians, we're called to grow the kingdom. We're called. And I'm sitting here and it's like, I don't have words. It breaks my heart if somebody was like, I don't feel like I'm called, or I lost my calling. I feel like I talk to somebody.
I feel like scripturally you can't lose your calling.
No.
The Great
Right.
Commission is our calling. Like
Here
Yes,
you
but
go.
why do so many people think that though? Like
if they lost
that's
their
what makes-
calling.
Yeah.
Well, I think again, it comes to that idea of getting things mixed up, because a lot of people will say,
Mm.
my calling into full-time ministry
Oh,
is the same as my fill in the blank calling that God has put on my heart. Like as someone that has taken multiple years outside of full-time ministry, the calling was the same. Serve my people.
okay.
And like, I was a volunteer coordinator at a nonprofit law firm, fighting for people's rights in long-term care facilities. That was my job. And so but I was serving his people. And so God glorified that. I mean, I had probably more conversations about God with adults in that environment than in all my years in kids ministry. But my calling was bigger than my vocation. And I think, as Tom alluded to, saying we get the calling piece, and Vicki, you said the same thing. We get this calling piece, and we make it over spiritualized, we make it too big, we make it all these things. The simple calling is that we are called to preach the gospel, expand the kingdom, make disciples. Like it's clear, it's in scripture.
Yep.
Now, again, calling into full-time ministry.
Part 2.
I'm just going to say, that's a great teaser to wrap up this conversation and dive into the next conversation, because we're going to get into that next conversation of how do we understand how the calling is lived out? How do we keep it from getting twisted into becoming what we do? We're going to dive into that conversation next time. Hopefully Ben will be back to join us with that and get into that. And then we're even going to dig into the whole idea of, well, could I be called outside of the church? Can that calling work inside and outside? Inquiring minds want to know. Well, stay tuned for the next conversation. But in the meantime, if you're looking for help, if you're feeling stuck, if you need somebody to help ask some clarifying questions, guess what? That's what KMC coaching is all about. This is what we do, my friends, and we do it for you. We set up our rates so that we can make it affordable for any kids pastor. And I'm telling you, I don't care what size church you serve in. We want to serve you. We offer something different than other people do. And I want to challenge you that if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like this is something you got to get some clarity on, and we will be doing another foundations class, so stay tuned in the Kid Ministry Collective Facebook group for that. But in the meantime, you can set up a 30-minute clarity call at kmccoach.net. We would love to serve you, so please don't think you can't afford it. I really say you can't afford not to. So take 30 seconds of insane courage, schedule your 30 minutes with us. We would love to serve you that way. We would love that you're listening to the podcast. We love that so many of you are joining our Facebook community. Thank you for doing that. Hey, we went over 100 subscribers on our little YouTube channel. So thank you to those that jumped on. And if you haven't subscribed yet, let me encourage you to go take, again, 30 seconds, pop over to Kid Ministry Collective on YouTube. Our video podcasts are there. So if you want to see us in action,
A fake background because I'm
yes,
not going to.
making funny faces and all those kind of things that we do on the video that you can't see on the audio. Hey, go over there, Kid Ministry Collective. It's on YouTube. Or, hey, leave us a review. We would love to hear from you as well. And let's keep this conversation going. So you tell us in the Facebook group, how do you know what your calling is? What was your calling like? We would love to hear your story. So come share that with us. So until next time, my friends, I'm Tom.
I'm Cole.
And I'm Vicki without
Right.
Ben.
Without Ben.
Bye, Ben.
See you then.
Hey, friend, that wraps up the KMC Collective podcast for this week. Thanks so much for listening. If today's episode sparked something, an idea, a heartbeat, or a fresh start, drop us a line at tom@tombump.com or reach out on social media. We'd love to hear your story and keep the conversation going. Remember, you're not just doing kids ministry, you're shaping the next generation's faith with intention and care. Be encouraged, be creative, and take a breath. You've got this. Catch you next time on the KMC Collective Podcast.